Usually when we think about game development, there is this expectation of static architecture. Like you build a house, the foundation is poured, the walls go up, and that's basically it.
Right, yeah. The house doesn't suddenly wake up 6 months later and learn how to rearrange its own furniture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then you step into the world of UEFN, the Unreal editor for Fortnite, and suddenly that static house is entirely dynamic.
Oh, absolutely.
We're looking at a platform where the underlying physics, the logic, the very fabric of the world you're building in, it just shifts and evolves while you're actively working on it.
Yeah, and that's exactly the reality developers are facing with the upcoming Q3 Fortnite Developer Roadmap.
Right. And our mission for this deep dive is to unpack this roadmap based on some really great insights from an article by the Creative Flock. We want to prepare you for 6 major upcoming shipments.
It's a massive drop of features.
It is a massive shift toward more competitive, persistent, and just intelligent island design. But, okay, let's unpack this right out of the gate, though,
Sure.
because roadmaps are notoriously slippery, right? And the source mentions these might actually slip past Q3. So why should a developer care about these right now if they aren't guaranteed?
Well, that tension is the core challenge of developing on a live service platform, But these updates, they serve as vital planning signals.
Planning signals, okay.
Yeah, smart developers need to understand where the architecture is heading so they can design systems today that easily adopt these tools tomorrow.
Right, because if you're staring at a backlog of bugs.
Exactly. If you know a fundamental change is coming to how persistent player data is handled, for example, you structure your current databases to be modular.
Oh, I see. You leave room for the upgrade.
Right, rather than hard-coding yourself into a corner that will take, weeks of painful refactoring to undo later.
Wait, so I'm essentially building the socket today so I can just plug the light bulb in tomorrow when it finally ships.
That is a perfect way to look at it. And the first few light bulbs we need to examine deal directly with the most brutal metric in game design.
Player retention.
Exactly. How do you keep players from leaving your island and never coming back?
Which brings us to what the player actively feels and sees. To build a successful island, you first have to keep players coming back. And the roadmap highlights 2 massive new retention tools.
Right, the opt-in skill-based matchmaking beta, or SBM, and the Verse Leaderboards beta.
Let's start with SBM. The way I'm conceptualizing this SBM update is basically the difference between casual intramural sports and professional leagues.
That's a great analogy, yeah.
Think about it. If you take a total rookie who just downloaded Fortnite yesterday and you throw them into a lobby with a pro esports player.
Oh, they're getting absolutely demolished.
Right, in like 2 seconds. They're going to rage quit and they're never opening your map again.
Yeah, and on the flip side, if you put that seasoned pro in a lobby full of beginners, they get bored because there's just no friction.
Exactly. So SBM ensures players are placed in the right league, so the island is approachable for beginners, but still challenging for veterans.
What's fascinating here is how it solves the churn problem by calculating fairness. The source mentions this will be an opt-in, simple version of SBM.
Simple meaning what exactly?
Well, it's highly relevant for box fights, zone wars, 1v1 arenas, ranked PvP, basically any setup where players are placed in direct, repeated head-to-head conflict.
So it's constantly doing this invisible math to ensure the match feels winnable.
Right. Win probability is the key driver of replayability. When a match feels fair, losing doesn't feel cheap. It feels like a learning opportunity.
You think, I almost had it. Let me queue up one more time.
Exactly. You're creating a sustainable gameplay loop.
But a fair fight only keeps you playing for a few hours. Eventually, you need a reason to come back the next day. And I'm guessing that's where the Verse Leaderboards beta comes into play.
You'd guess correctly. The source highlights that this allows developers to track persistent data across sessions.
Persistent, so not just resetting when the server closes.
Right. The operative word there is persistent. Currently, a lot of UEFN maps rely on session-based data. The server spins up, you get the most eliminations, the server resets, and your glory is just wiped clean.
That's so frustrating as a player.
It really is.
Yeah.
But persistent leaderboards change that entirely. We're talking about tracking the fastest race times, the most eliminations, or the highest tycoon earnings.
Wow.
Yeah, and engraving that into the island's architecture permanently.
So it's about creating a legacy.
Yeah.
SBM gives you the fair matchup, but the leaderboard gives you the rivalry.
What's fascinating here is the synergy between these 2 tools. SBM creates the fairness, but like you said, persistent leaderboards create the rivalry.
You're logging in on a Tuesday specifically to see if your friend bumped you down to second place over the weekend.
Exactly. Together, they transition UEFN islands from feeling like random, disposable public lobbies into structured, long-term multiplayer games.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, though, because keeping players engaged with each other is only half the battle. If we want to build a truly massive experience, the world itself needs to react to the player.
Oh, definitely. We're shifting from player behavior to NPC behavior.
Right, which brings us to AI navigation and scene graph. If NPCs aren't just standing around like mannequins anymore, doesn't this completely blow the doors off what genres actually work in UEFN?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is arguably the most important update on the board for deep PvE player versus environment and dungeon crawler experiences.
So before we jump into the AI part, just for those of us who might not be deep into the engine's architecture, what exactly is scene graph fundamentally?
So think of scene graph as the structural skeleton of your game environment. It dictates how objects relate to each other in a hierarchy.
Like parent-child relationships in modeling.
Exactly. If you have a car and you attach a steering wheel to it, the car is the parent and the steering wheel is the child. If the parent moves, the child moves. Scene graph allows creators to build and manage these complex relationships with thousands of objects efficiently. But this specific roadmap item focuses on exposing the navigation system within that scene graph.
So NPCs can dynamically move through the world, rather than relying on static behaviors.
Right. Previously, if you wanted an NPC enemy to patrol a hallway, you'd have to manually draw an invisible path for that character to walk back and forth on.
Which is super rigid.
Very. If a player throws an obstacle in that path, the NPC gets stuck or confused or just awkwardly clips right through it.
Because it only knows the line it was told to walk.
Exactly. But exposing the navigation system means tapping into the nav mesh dynamically. The AI can essentially see the geometry of the room in real time.
So it calculates its own path.
Right. If you throw a chair in the doorway, the AI recognizes the obstruction, calculates a new route around the table, and continues hunting the player.
Oh, wow. That completely unlocks new potential. The source calls out horror maps, escort missions, boss fights, enemy patrol routes.
And open world encounters, yeah.
I mean, if I'm building a horror game, instead of jump scares that trigger when I walk over an invisible line, I can have a monster that intelligently navigates a house to find me.
It proves Epic is pushing UEFN far beyond just traditional PvP shooter maps. It allows developers to create living, breathing worlds.
It turns a sterile environment into an actual ecosystem. But, okay, making an NPC smart enough to hunt you or making a leaderboard that tracks your money is only part of the equation.
Right.
Because if you want that NPC to remember your choices, or that leaderboard to track your stats across multiple different games, your underlying code needs a massive upgrade.
It does, which leads us under the hood into the verse updates.
Specifically, the shareable weak map and the removal of the rollback specifier. These seem like the technical glue holding this all together.
They really are. Let's tackle the shareable weak map first. In Verse, a weak map is the primary mechanism developers use for persistence workflows.
Storing data that survives after the player logs off.
Exactly. But currently, developers largely have to think about this persistence on a strict island-by-island basis.
It's locked to the specific map instance.
Right. But the roadmap notes this update will allow a Verse developer to share the same weak map among multiple islands that they own.
Okay, the best way I can conceptualize this is like a theme park passport.
Right.
Or like a magic band at Disney.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it. Walk us through that mechanism.
Well, without this update, playing UEFN maps is like going to a theme park where every single ride requires a full reset.
Oh, man.
Right. You walk from the roller coaster over to the haunted house, but you lose your wallet, your clothes, your identity. You start from scratch at every single attraction.
Right.
But with a shareable weak map, it's like a passport. The map doesn't store your data inside the isolated island. It ties your data to your unique player ID.
Exactly. So whenever you load into a new island built by that same developer, the map simply pings your ID, downloads your current stats, and you pick up right where you left off.
Right. Your identity, stats, and loot carry over.
And the use cases for this are enormous. We're talking multi-island RPGs, shared profiles, connected tycoons, cross-island quests.
You're building an actual franchise universe at that point.
Exactly. Now, alongside this, Epic is removing no rollback from Verse, making decides the new default specifier.
For those of us who spend a lot more time modeling assets than staring at lines of Verse code, why does removing one little specifier matter?
Well, it reduces boilerplate code, for one. It cleans up transactional behavior and makes code reviews much easier.
Transactional behavior.
Yeah, Verse is built to anticipate failure. If a block of code encounters an error, Verse wants to roll the game state back to exactly how it was a millisecond before that code ran.
To prevent the whole server from crashing.
Exactly. Historically, developers had to explicitly write out specifiers to dictate when these rollbacks should happen. By making decides the new default, Epic is just automating that logic in common cases.
Oh, so it just strips out the friction.
Right. This raises an important question regarding production timelines.
Oh, right. Because the article makes a very specific warning about these two Verse updates.
It explicitly warns that both of these technical features could slip more than just one quarter.
Yikes. So if I'm building a multi-island RPG right now, and I base my entire launch strategy on that shareable weak map feature.
You are putting your entire studio at extreme risk.
Right.
My advice to developers is to avoid building launch-critical systems around them right now.
Just wait for it.
Exactly. Continue following current Verse behavior until the updates officially ship.
Build the socket, wait for the light bulb.
Precisely.
Okay, so we've talked about building sticky games with SBM, we've explored breathing life into worlds with Scene Graph, and we've looked at the Verse architecture. But building these massive worlds takes time.
And money.
Right, which means moving from creation tools to publishing and business workflows. So let's look at the new Monetization Overview tab.
This is a huge deal. It's a new tab combining data from engagement payouts and in-island transactions into a single view.
So what does this all mean for a solo dev or a small indie team? Why does having these two numbers on the same screen actually change how they operate?
Because visibility is power. Currently, Epic separates monetization into two distinct buckets. You have engagement payouts based on player retention, and in-island transactions, which are direct sales of digital items or VIP passes.
And right now, analyzing your revenue requires cross-referencing entirely different data sets.
Which is notoriously tedious, yeah.
Oh.
But by correlating engagement payouts with in-island direct sales on one screen, creators can track monetization trends instantly.
So if I drop a massive update, I can finally see if that spike in players actually resulted in them buying the new VIP pass, or if they just ran around for 10 minutes and left.
Exactly. You can see exactly which updates or marketing campaigns are generating real revenue. It allows creators to treat their UEFN projects like a proper business.
So if retention is down but sales are high, you focus your next update on new gameplay loops to keep people playing longer.
Right. And if retention is sky high but nobody is buying anything, you focus on designing more compelling digital items. It removes the guesswork entirely.
That is incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
Well, when you pull all these threads together, the Q3 roadmap is clearly a massive leap forward. I mean, in competition, retention, technical depth, and creator business workflows.
It really is. But again, remind yourself to plan for these updates, but remain agile due to potential release delays.
Balancing ambition with pragmatism.
Exactly.
Which leaves us with a final, forward-looking thought to mull over. We started this deep dive talking about how a house doesn't rearrange its own furniture.
Right.
But when you combine Scene Graph AI that thinks for itself with a shareable weak map that acts as a passport across multiple different games, it seems like we aren't just building houses anymore.
No, we're building interconnected neighborhoods.
Right. So the question for you listening is, with tools pushing us toward connected ecosystems, is the future of Fortnite Creative less about building single, isolated maps and more about building massive, interconnected franchises?
It's a fascinating shift.
What does your franchise look like? Don't try to answer that entirely in isolation, though. Continue the conversation and share ideas with other creators at thecreativeblock.com. We've dropped the Discord link right there in the description for you. Jump in, share your blueprint, and let's build the future of UEFN together.